Hello and welcome to Badminton Europe BEC podcast. I'm Mark Phelan with you again, and it's my great pleasure to welcome my countryman, actually, Sam Magee, alongside us. Sam is here to discuss European mixed doubles in general, but we'll also have a little chat. I think it would be great to learn a little bit about Sam and his background, etc., coming from Ireland, a smaller badminton nation, and coming to winning a European bronze medal early in the year in mixed doubles. Sam, thank you for joining us.
No problem.
Yeah. The Magee family is a synonymous name in badminton terms in Ireland, but not many people would know, where you've come from. First in Ireland, if you could explain a little bit about where you come from, the little village you come from, your badminton background in the village, and I know what it is, but there's a lot of people out there would love to know the story behind the Magee success.
We're from a small town, very close to the border, so we're like 5 minutes from Northern Ireland, but it's in the south, Republic of Ireland, so it's a very small town. 3 hours from Dublin, 2 hours from Belfast, and that's probably where the closest coaches were when we were growing up. Was definitely a drive away. It's a small town, but very much a sporting town. No real professional setup and anything, just local clubs, boxing, football, hockey, badminton. And
what's the population of this town?
Oh, very small, maybe less than 5,000.
Yeah,
so, very small town, but sport really is the heart of it, and even myself and Chloe were involved in a lot of the clubs growing up. Badminton, it's only a small local club, one hall, has quite a good tradition, some other okay players for even club level in Ireland, so nothing special, and probably such a small town, there's so little to say about it, really.
The hall itself has a unique atmosphere and a unique, we're used to sports halls in badminton, etc., where you go into a kind of pristine, modern, clean sport hall. Tell us about your hall, because I know it is unique.
Yeah, it's very unique. It's one of these old church buildings. When you come to these Super Series, you play in the big arenas, you don't even hear the shuttle hit your strings. When you go back there, it's like an explosion you're coming off, and that's probably why some of our timing isn't the best. But it's a small hall. There's not even facilities for change in there. It's literally just one court hall, a men's, women's toilets, and that's it. We spent so much time there, and it's even nice to go back to it now. It's changed a lot. We have our own mat there now, so it's probably changed it a lot. And just a really small, cozy hall to play in. Yeah,
a unique environment for sure, Sam. And coming out of that and making the big jump out of the doors of that old church, which now is a badminton hall, and making the big step out to Denmark originally and Sweden, for sure you were in. What was that like, the feelings of breaking out from that home structure?
Yeah, that was a really big move for me. Chloe first went over to Sweden to train with Tommy Reedy, and I followed the year after once I finished school, and that was just a really big eye-opener for us. I think even Tommy, because he was Irish, that helped us a lot, and he understood where we came from, what our background was, and there was no real professional setup. And we kind of went into players where it was a sports school in Sweden with a few older players, which was kind of the right step for us because we were very raw. I think that first year we just learned how to train more than anything else. We were more used to just play a little bit of training, playing a lot of matches against each other, where Tommy really, sat us down, even diet, training, even, doing a lot of stretching and stuff, which seems like so normal for everyone else. We were just so raw, and I think he was the first person that shaped us. And then after the move to Denmark, you get exposed to really high level players, even in the club. The older players, the younger players, everything there is just, badminton mad. And if you're good at badminton, you can make a name for yourself there, which was such an eye opener. But I think that initial move coming from Buffo to Sweden was, by far the biggest step, because from being such a raw player, just to get in training was such a big step.
Yeah. Let's move it on a little bit. We'll move on to more recent times now, and the real focus on mixed for you and Chloe. Chloe, as we know, is a double Olympian as a singles player, and since Rio has really now focused on the mixed doubles, and we can see a difference. You can obviously feel the difference with Chloe's core training now completely focused on the mixed doubles. What is different? What is new, and what have you really done back home in Ireland? To make this huge jump in level?
Yeah, it's a very good question. I think a lot goes down to John Quinn, English coach. Hopefully make him Irish now, but he's brought a lot of tactics into our game, and he kind of seen that still, where Chloe was a singles player, I was a mixed player, and it was kind of a little bit all over the place. You know, one week we would play really well, and the next week terrible, and sometimes that's still there. But you know, he brought a more structure, so everything we do now is more structured. Our training's more structured, and he's kind of just brought a, you know, he's kind of defined us as a pair. This is what you're good at. You need to do this first and foremost, and then we look at the other pairs and see what they do. And he's brought that real tactical. You know, coming from England, they know what mix is about. They always produce players, so I think he's brought that side of the game to us, to play more controlled, more focused. And I think that's been the biggest thing. Of course, Chloe, once she started training mixed, next she's doing mixed twice a day now, rather than maybe she used to maybe 2 days a week training mixed, and the rest was singles. So now she's just completely focused. So I think her level was always going to come up, and it's come up maybe quicker than we expected. Yeah,
you had some success at the inaugural European Games, and I do know, and maybe you can confirm this, but that generated a lot of interest back home in Ireland, media-wise, and the European Games was maybe a game changer in that respect. How did that, you know, attention? How did you deal with that? Because you maybe didn't have to deal with that before.
Yeah, that was very strange. For the Sports Council in Ireland, that was so important, because it was the first time for me that we had all the sports together. So you weren't just playing badminton; it was Team Ireland. So of course we had the boxers; they always do well there, and they were bringing home medals. And then for us to bring home medals, and to arrive in an airport where it's full of media. I think you were there that day as well. So you know, that was something really strange, and it was the first time me and Chloe got some media exposure of that level. And it was very important. It was important for badminton to get a medal. You know, our rankings looked good in that tournament. Some of the bigger players in Europe didn't play, so we had a high ranking, and that brought expectation. So we were happy to get a medal there, and it kind of, you know, brought a springboard for us to move forward then, to get that medal. Meant so much. And
mentally, was it good for you? Did you feel, oh, you know, we've achieved something here at this European Games. Come on, let's make the next step. We can do it.
Yeah, it was that in a sense, but then Chloe was still training singles, focused on Rio, and we were kind of half trying for Rio as well. Well, we were fully trying, but then it became a half measure when we seen that we weren't going to make it. And so after that, it was a good sign. And you need these signs to keep you going, to, you know, okay, we're playing badminton here, but we're actually getting somewhere. We're not just going round and round in a circle. And we knew the level of the European Games that year wasn't the strongest in Europe, but it was some decent pairs. The Danes were there, the French were there. So it was a good sign. It was more so the confidence from it to say that we've made a mark here.
Then you came along, and you've had some good circuit results, and then the European Championships came along this year, and when the draw came out, you know, you would have looked at that draw and thought there's an opportunity here. But also, you know, because Chloe had completely focused on the mix, did you feel that this was your year to really, really go and show that you were medal contenders?
I think going into it, once we had Jaco and Selena, we had them first round. So we could have easily been packing our bags and going home after day one. And the way the match panned out, it could have been that way as well. But we knew Selena was coming back from an injury, and that was a good chance to play them. So they were seeded 4. And once we won that match, we had great confidence. You know, that really brought our heads up. The 3 tournaments before that, we actually played really well, but we lost more or less first round All England, first round German, and second round Swiss. But we actually played well. And sometimes you come to these big tournaments, the level's so high that you can play well and go home on day one. Like even looking here at the level in Denmark, like there's so many good pairs. So just to play well at these big events brought us confidence. Even though some people looking at us going into it saying, okay, they haven't won a match in I don't know how long, but we felt good. And once we won that match against the Dutch, we know how good they are. They've been consistently good for the last 4 years. Qualified for Rio as well. And then after that, we just took it from there. And we had some crazy match against the French after. They also could have beat us. And then, of course, against Matuzak. Probably a rival in our last 2 years. We've played him so many times, and it was so nice to beat him as well.
What was the feeling? What was that feeling inside when I remember that shuttle landed out and you had won, that you would guarantee that medal? Is it a feeling you can describe? Is it a feeling that when you think back on now, what it was 6 months ago, that is it something you can remember, and is there words you can put to it?
I think when you first get it, it's weird because it should be such a buzz of enjoyment, but sometimes it's more relief. You put so much expectations, you train so hard, you have people talking about draws and all this, so excuse me, I think it's just more relief at times. And once that last shuttle goes out, you're just like, okay, I don't have to play anymore, I have a medal. Tomorrow's a new day and try again.
You win that medal, and you know the big nations are used to going on and going, bronze medal in the bag. Now let's focus on silver and let's go and get gold. Is this a difficult thing for the smaller nations in Europe to do? We see it sometimes when smaller nations can win a medal. The next game for that silver medal becomes a little bit of a no game at times because they've just quite happy to have the bronze. Is that a difficult thing?
It is difficult, but sometimes you have to look at the level of player you're playing to. You go from maybe playing, we played Matuzak, who of course is a world beater, but then it's up against Fischer, who's 2 in the world or 3 in the world at that time, and to go and win that next match, you really have to play a high level of badminton, and we weren't able to produce it to beat them consistently enough, and that was just a fact. I think John did say that to us. He says, whatever you do, he goes, tomorrow's a chance to win, you know, silver or gold. He goes, you can't let this chance slip just by being happy with bronze. And I think that's a fair point. You have to go for it. But sometimes when you see the players that have got these bronze medals, the level of player they play then in the semi-final is just so much higher. For me and Chloe, we're top 20 or around 20 to 30. Where Fischer's top 10, and that's a different level. We would love to be there and be at that level, but on the day he was just much better in every department, him and Christina.
Yeah. Let's just take a look at the global situation in mixed, Sam, before we wrap this up. You know, we have the few really top-level players, and it is a few in Europe in mixed, and Asia, as we've come to take for granted, dominate the sport effectively. What is it that they're doing that's better than us? What do you feel we could do better, maybe, to try and really put, you know, half of the players in the top 10 being Europe, etc., and so on? What are your feelings?
It's very tricky. If you look at the countries that can compete in Europe, Denmark and England, I think at the minute it's only 2 that really can win a Super Series. I think they have the numbers, and I think that's what Asia have as well. They have so many good players, and their quality of training. I think, you know, the Danes can produce maybe 6, 7, 8 really good pairs in training. The English can maybe put 4 or 5 good players in training. I think that makes a big difference, and it's the day in, day out playing this good quality. And then I think it comes down to a little bit of tactics too. I think Denmark and England are tactically very good in mixed, and I think that really helps them.
They have a tradition there, of course, in mixed doubles, but you know, Denmark has a healthy club system. We would not necessarily say England has a healthy club system, but they still are able to produce these consistent high level of mixed pairs. What is it about England that they can do that?
I think they have the, you might say they have the formula. You know, they've produced pairs year in, year out. They know what it does to make a good, know what it takes to make a good mixed pair, and they have good junior players coming through as well. You know, all the time, and they bring them into the centre. And of course, you know, they can look at Chris and Gabby, they can look at Nathan and Gail, or even Simon Archer and Joe Good, and what worked for these guys. And it's kind of been a domino effect, it's been passed on. I'm not sure exactly. I'm not in England. I've been there once or twice to train, but I'd say those lads can tell you better. But they just keep producing good mixed players, and it seems to be they know what they're doing, and I think the players can see there's a success there. So why not go into that event? Maybe then play men's doubles, ladies doubles. It seems to be, you know,
something we can do in Europe as a collective, you know, to come up with formulas or solutions, in your opinion, to you know, bring the level in general across Europe up to a higher level in your discipline mixed.
Yeah, I think, you know, if us pairs around 20 and 30, if we train together every day, of course I think we could all get better. But that's a very hard thing because everyone has their own, you know, their own training, their own results to get, and you're competing against each other, and of course you have leagues and different things, so it's always tough. I think we can all definitely look at England, look at Denmark, look what they're doing, you know, the training quality they're producing, the tactics they play, you know, really look at what they're doing. I think we have to look at them rather than look at Asia. I don't think we can play like Asia as much as we'd like to, but you know, I think that could definitely be something. But yeah, I think if it's other pairs, if we train together, we could help each other, but I think, you know, it's a hard solution to come up with. I think, you know, Badminton Europe have done some good things with the centres. You know, I know in Ireland we've benefited from players coming in to play against us, you know, not always higher ranked, but just a different mixed pair. Maybe the Czechs have come and trained with us a few times. So ideas like this, they definitely help. And I think sometimes you don't see it. It's like a knock-on effect, and these things do help. Okay, Sam, we'll wrap it up at that point. Thank you for joining us. Of course, Sam and Chloe, very active on social media. Get online and follow them, Instagram,
Facebook, Twitter, whatever they may be. Follow them for some really in-depth analysis and views on their careers. And of course, Badminton Europe, follow us on all our social media channels, Facebook, Twitter, and of course Instagram. And don't forget to hit the subscribe button on our YouTube channel. Thank you.